everybody, and welcome to this episode of Discussing Digital. Today, I'm discussing digital marketing with Laurie Macpherson. Laurie, would you like to introduce yourself and your business to start with, please?
Yes, absolutely. So I am a career mentor supporting mostly mid and senior women earning 50k plus to make bold moves that enable them to take the next steps in their career. And through doing that, I've learned which platforms to use, which work for me, and how to market myself online and how to sell my services and grow my audience.
Fantastic. And you've already sort of started the hint there, because the next question normally is, could you talk a little bit about how you use digital marketing in general, and then we'll kind of go and find some areas to explore, which we've already kind of in our preamble got a few things that we know I'm going to go and chat about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I use my main platform is LinkedIn. I'm selling mostly B2C. I do a bit of work when people come and ask me to help with their teams. But mostly I work with individuals and they're on LinkedIn. That's where I find most of my folks. I also use Facebook and Instagram, which are secondary platforms for me. And I'm very, very passionate about having a strong email list. I've started to grow that a bit more recently, which we can obviously talk about. And these are the kind of main ways, as well as I do a lot of visibility, networking, to grow the audience in that way as well.
Oh, fantastic. That's really good. And I mean, we talked about a few things, but let's talk initially about your email list, because so many people ignore email or don't like it because it's got a bad rep over the last few years, 10, 15 years in particular. So it'd be really good if you could just kind of give a little summary about how you use email and how you're finding it to kind of make people aware of services and courses and things like that you're running.
Yeah, so I've used email from pretty much the beginning, Rob, because I was really aware that the platforms they're not ours. They can throw us out, we can be hacked, we can be unverified, we can be copied. And I've had quite a few friends who've been in that position where they've lost their whole Instagram account with 7,000 followers, and it's just absolutely heartbreaking. So your list is the only thing that's really yours. So I started it early on in the business. I think I had like 60 people initially when I started emailing them out. And now I have something like 1,800. I'm running ads to my list. I have welcome sequences. I have all of this stuff in the background. And please know that I'm not remotely technical, as we discussed previously. So, it's been a real learning curve to get everything set up and change things and keep things moving. But for me, the list is so important. And I think it was about March this year, maybe earlier, I started emailing twice a week. And actually, it's worked really well. Yes, I get unsubscribes when people feel it's too much. That's absolutely fine. But I also get lots of traction. And a few weeks ago, a lovely business owner who does quite a similar thing to me, her friend had told her, get on Laurie's list. Not only has she got really good advice, but you also feel like you get to know her. Which is lovely, because I send my Thursday email as the sort of general email, and I always put at the bottom, have a great weekend. And I tell them what I'm doing, not in any great detail, but I write a couple of lines about my weekend so people feel they know me, and that works really well. And then on the Monday, I send one which is answering a reader's question. So they send me in, what do you think about this? How long should my CV be? All these sorts of things, and I answer them on the Monday email. So yeah, I actually really enjoy my list. I'm not going to say there's not an occasional Wednesday night at 6 o'clock when I don't think I need to write an email for the morning. Obviously there is, but it is part of my routine now. It's part of the rhythm of my week. Even now I'm taking sort of Fridays off, so I think I need to get the Monday email written and ready as well. But I'm seeing a lot of growth from it, and people are starting to ask me questions and come back and forth a little bit with me. It just opens up a discussion. So for me, my list is a crucial part of what I do.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good, and I think it's really good there that you've got a routine, you've established it Thursdays, Mondays, but also you've got different content in each one. But also, I love the idea that the Monday one is you're answering a question, so it's almost user generated. So
Yeah.
yeah, that takes some of that pressure off of what am I going to write,
Yeah, it really does, because that is, let's be honest, Rob, that is everybody's fear when they sit down and they get the blank screen and the winking cursor, and you go, what what to say. So actually, someone saying to you, Laurie, tell me about this, or what about that? That is it's a gift, you know.
Yeah.
And the fact is, as well, you've started a conversation with a person. They're really grateful that you've given their question an answer and given them some time. So I always make it clear, you know, this is my advice from my best experience. Here's some thoughts on what you might do with that. This is a tricky one. You probably need some help, or here's a quick and easy product, you know, I've got that's £9 that'll sort that for you. But ultimately, it's user generated. So that was one of my better ideas, I have to say. Weekly
Yeah.
Monday question email. Yes.
I think it's really good, and it also gives you that ability to also demonstrate your knowledge and experience and be able to answer those questions in a structured way. So I think that's excellent. I really like that. In fact, that might be something I might go away and nick.
Yeah, please do. It's a good one. It's an easy way for us as content creators to get some easy content and also know for sure we're on the right track. You
Yeah,
know you're on the right track, but getting actually, yeah, that is an actual genuine question that someone's asking is, you know, it does help sometimes when our brains are going off at I wonder if they want to know this, and I wonder if they're thinking about that. You get it, you know, you get it confirmed as here's exactly what I need to know.
yeah. No, I think that's excellent. Um, excuse me. So the next thing, obviously, you talked about LinkedIn, and when in the kind of not only in our conversation, but also when I asked you to give me some information, you said you were very keen to talk about LinkedIn, both your journey on it, but also how you think businesses should be using it. So start off. Do you want to start off talking a little bit about your journey on LinkedIn and how you said it works really well for you, so how you're finding it, and then we can just kind of maybe expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think I started using LinkedIn goes ages and ages ago, Rob. I just sort of saw that potential to reach so many different people and have different conversations. And I was never put off by this sort of dull, grey, corporate image because that's not who I am. So I seeked out people on there who weren't that. So, you know, people I follow and people I'm interested in are not all my by any stretch of the imagination are not all going to be my client because often my client is actually too scared to post.
Yeah,
They'll tell me that they have a LinkedIn. They don't actually use it. They don't want to, oh, I don't really want to write things or have people look at me because they're employees or they're trying to be employed, so they're not too sure about that. But for me, I knew that I could find a great, you know, friendly, chatty community. And I just started that by interacting with people, putting it out there and seeing what came back. Some people will respond, some people won't. Both are fine. But just having those conversations, and actually, I find it really interesting the sort of conversations that do come up. You know, for example, this morning alone, I've spoken to someone about their solo spa days. You know, someone ghosting them, someone leaving narky comments, folk going to Atomic Con who've written a new book. You know, just
yeah,
in the last just I did a read session just before I came on here in sort of 10 minutes. These are some, so I'm not seeing, you know, someone talking about something really tedious, about something really uninteresting. I'm seeing these kind of things. So I think that made it more interesting for me. And I also followed, you know, some people who are really good at LinkedIn who made it more fun and became part of you can be human, you can be personal, you can have an opinion and be your and you should and be yourself on LinkedIn, and that's where the kind of magic has happened for me.
yeah. I was gonna sort of maybe ask you to expand a little bit about yeah, we talked a little bit about how you get content ideas for email. So do you have different content and different ideas for what you on how you create content and what you post on LinkedIn, or any recommendations for others as they're getting out there on it?
Yeah, I think my recommendation thing I always say is don't be scared to be human and talk about yourself and be a little bit personal. And when you say that, Rob, I think people think I need to talk about something really traumatic or awful or, you know, secret. I don't mean that. I just mean that I like going to, you know, 90s raves at the weekend sometimes, and I talk about that. And it's one of the things people recognize and go, that's really interesting. Now, full disclosure, some people say I don't do anything interesting. You know, that's maybe something to have a look at. Anyway, but you know, you do things that are interesting to someone, whether that's baking cakes, climbing hills. These are not my jam, but they're somebody's. So eh, being yourself and getting recognized for what you do and what you are. And it's really hard to start with, but think talking about why you started the job industry, whatever you're in, talking about, the why you're still in it. Is it for your family? Is it to provide yourself some security? Is it because you love the freedom? One of my friends this morning she's on holiday. She's posted a little picture of her feet in the sea. Again, it's not a traditional LinkedIn post,
Yeah.
but she's asked the question, why do what do you love most about your business? And we've all sort of said, the freedom, the ability to do things like this, that looks lovely. Lots of, I recognize that beach. Again, it's not going to break the internet, but this is the sort of post that will get a ton of engagement, a ton of conversation. And actually, the post she does next after that, which is maybe a bit more salesy, people will see it because she's actually taking the time to ask a question. So posts that ask a question, posts that pose a bit of an opinion. I did one a few weeks ago. Nothing, again, you're not talking about, I've got to be a bit careful sometimes because of some of the work I do. I don't write about politics or the wars or anything like that, Robin. That's a choice. I write about things like, don't call it an informal interview because it's not. And people love that. They're like, oh, Laurie Macpherson said this. It's a bit spicy, because it's a bit spicy, because
Yeah.
it's a hot take, it's an opinion. It's, I'll say, fiddling about with your CV feels like it's action, but it's really not. It's like hiding behind, I'll just wait for my website to be created. It's hiding, it's procrastination, it's stopping anybody, it's stopping us putting ourselves out in the world. And people go, actually, yeah, I'm feeling called out today, I'm feeling seen. I did it this morning. I read a post by Samantha Harmon, who's a fantastic stylist who I've done some work with, style coach. And she said, she was writing this morning about, you're complaining that you're quiet and you're sitting in your old pajamas. And I looked down, it said old pajamas. And I thought, feeling a little bit called out here this morning, Sam. But it makes you read on and it makes you go, yeah, they're actually right. So I'll keep on going. So I think for me, it's about humanizing LinkedIn and realizing you don't have to write deadly dull business posts. You can
Yeah.
actually appeal to human beings and the fact that we all have interests, families, lives outside of work, as well as our work personas.
Yes, yeah, I know what you mean, and it's just finding that right balance. And it's interesting you say
Yeah.
about posting things that are slightly controversial. Previous guests, in fact, from the previous episode, actually by writing some, well, actually, it was a TikTok post that was slightly controversial in that he's a mortgage broker and he asked the question, what was the impact of the Ukraine-Russia war on a TikTok post, and it went viral. So actually, it's interesting how, obviously it's got to be relatively relevant to what you're doing, but don't be afraid to be a little bit controversial. Just, sometimes because that is actually what sparks that engagement with
Yeah,
people. So,
it
yeah,
sparks a conversation, doesn't it? And as I say, there's things I will shy away from because it's not a conversation that I want to get into. But
yeah,
things like, one of mine that I write about all the time is you don't need to put your interest in your CV. Nobody cares, when you get a lot of, it personalizes things and people, and every time I do it, I know I'm going to get a bit of, not backlash, that's far too strong a word. It's, people who disagree, which is absolutely fine. But it's really worth doing because there's a reason why I think what I think. And
yeah,
so, when I say something like that, or don't put in for, or there's one I'm going to post this week actually, which is about a lovely client who got interview questions that were really naff, like what do you do at the weekends, and ugh, none of your business. So, I'm going to sort of write something really, really spicy and comical about that. Like, you don't need to ask these people these kind of questions in an interview. They don't actually tell you about the person because they're just a bit and it's actually none of your business. So I think having an opinion is good. Again, obviously, don't be, you're not doing it to be clickbaity. Or I've seen some really bad ones over the years on LinkedIn where they've said really horrible things about people who don't earn enough money and all that. And I don't mean anything like that, obviously,
no,
because I'm not a horrible human being, but something that's about you, what you do, that shows that you've got knowledge and a bit of credibility in your space, and
yeah,
also is a little bit spicy. Yes, you'll get some comments disagreeing. That's fine.
yeah.
They're not horrible. They're just disagreeing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's, I think you say it's just finding that right balance,
Yeah.
that sparks engagement and interest without as you say, without being horrible, because we don't want to be horrible.
No.
But although there is that thing about, isn't it? Sometimes being Marmite can be quite good. Not horrible,
Yes.
but you like to, sort of, so yeah, but yeah, you just got to find what works for you as well. I think that's the important bit, and it's really good that you found what works for you. And I think because I've just started using that phrase. I'm going to sort of switch a little bit to the conversation we were having before we started recording about your website, because we were having quite a good conversation there about actually you found a website that works for you, but as you say, it's not super. It's I was going to say it's not super glossy. It's absolutely fine. But we were talking about things like some of your sort of view on, well, actually at the moment I'm not you trying to drive business to it through search engine optimization or stuff like that. So it'd be good if you can just kind of like, I was just thinking, I don't want to, it's good to hear from you rather than me just talking about what you just said about your philosophy on your website at the minute.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Rob, you could spend an absolute fortune on it and have all sorts of whizzy pop-ups and things coming out and things dropping down. What I wanted was one I could do myself quickly, that I can edit myself quickly, that I can add things and take things away. And for me, it's never going to be, I've done all the analytics checks, obviously. Then I never get found through Career Mentor or, because I'm not shiny and glossy and just I'm quite happy with that. And I don't put loads of money behind it. So what I get found for is my name. What gets searched is Laurie Macpherson because they've heard of me, and I drive that through my socials, my email list, but also, as I say, I network a lot and I do a lot of things like this. So
Yeah,
when you Google me, what you'll find is other podcasts I've done. I've been really, really fortunate to get some good press and been in, quoted in Telegraph and Stylist and things like that, psychologies. That's what comes up. So would it work better? And people say, does it work? Would it work better if I'd spent hundreds of thousands of pounds or thousands of pounds and got SEO on it? Probably. But does it sort of do the job? It's the least important thing for me right now. And,
yeah,
and I know that the SEO and web designers out there will be gasping in horror right now. But the reality is I'm not prepared. I'm about to go away on a month-long workation. That's where I choose to spend my cash. I choose not to spend it on a glossy website because would it get me any more than this? That's what I can't know. And so my choice is here's some way you can buy all my stuff. Here's some way you can see all my services. People are coming to ask for the links anyway. They're not finding me through my website pretty much ever. I think I've had
yeah,
about 2 or 3, website contact forms ever. The rest of the time, it's all we've seen you, we're on your list. Somebody told me about you, word of mouth, lovely, and that it costs less money. I'm now
yeah,
using ads, but I've got them super cheap because I've done hundreds of testing, and they're bringing people onto my list. My lead time is long anyway because people see me, think, oh, she sounds great, but I'll just do it myself.
yeah.
Apply for 20 jobs, don't get any of them, feel really rotten, and think about calling the cavalry. So I know that my lead time is long, and I am doing things to speed it up. But would a shinier website help that? I've had a look at others in the space, and lots of them are quite fluffy. They don't talk about the prices. It's all words that I don't relate to. Mine works for me right now.
Yeah, and that's that's what we were sort of saying earlier. It works for you. It's there. It's kind of a brochure. You can point people to it and things like
Yep.
that. And I think that's really important. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it. I think it's really important for people to understand that it's that a website doesn't have to be a lead generation tool. It just it's good to have that bit of real estate, but
Yep.
actually what's working for you, and as you say, you can point people to it when you want to, but it's not necessarily your lead gen tool. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I think it was really good for us to be able to talk about that, because I think that is a really important message that a lot of people, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs and stuff like that get really caught up on. Oh, I need to spend thousands of pounds on a website, spend all my time doing SEO on it, but actually, there are other ways of doing it which can work really well. And like I said, you've
Yep.
found what you want. And the other thing I
Yeah.
like about you is in our conversations, you keep going, I'm not techie, but actually you've built a website that works for you. You've got an email list that works for you. You've got a social
Yeah.
media that works for you. So you found again the right level of technology, and you're doing it all yourself. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
it's
and I do laugh. I do laugh at that. But yeah, did I set up all my own sequences? Have people fallen out the bottom, and I've had to go back and fix them? Yes, of course. Do you know what I mean? Because that's part of not being techie. And yeah, And I do get slightly annoyed at this, Rob, as well. You get all the, you could hire someone to help you. Of course, I could, people say that as if I'm going to go, "Oh, could I, really? Do digital media people exist in the world? And do you get such a thing as a VA? I'm in hundreds of networks. I'm really well connected. I know who I would hire to do this stuff. I actually quite like doing it myself. And I
Yeah.
think it's important at my stage to know how to do it. If I wanted to
Mm.
pass it off, fine. But I need to know how, so that if anything was to break behind the scenes, I would be able to fix it. So much as I hate it, I can do all the bits.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, for me, that's, once you get to a stage, yeah, well, I probably will pass it out. But I actually enjoy my interaction on social platforms. I know some business owners absolutely hate it. But for me, I always saw it as it's a bit of a necessary evil. Like, how lucky are we to have all these free tools to promote our businesses? My dad was a self-employed person back in the 80s, and he had yellow pages, and that was about it. You know what I mean? And he
Yeah.
had to pay for that, and quite a lot, I seem
Mhm.
to remember. So we're so lucky we have all these things we can do that are free or very, very cheap. You only
Yeah.
pay for it. I use MailerLite. You only start paying it. It was really funny. I said to someone, I'm so chuffed, I finally hit my 1,000 and I'm paying. And they came back with not well done, which is what I wanted, but oh, you could use a different platform. No, that wasn't what was said. I don't want to move platform. That's another faff. I
Yeah.
want to pay me like £13 a month to let me speak to 1,800 people. For me, that's a bit of a Brucey bargain. So
Yeah.
and it was a funny conversation. Like, why don't you move to it? And I'm like, nah, that wasn't the quick. Just say well done.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
just smile, just smile
And
and nod.
yeah. Yeah. Well done.
That's exactly what I wanted. So yeah, I've got enough bit. I think there's enough bits going on there that it's enough bits for me. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but again, I mean, you've learned the platform, you've got it working, you've got your sequences in, you've got your two mail shots going out every week as well.
yeah.
And as you say, the last thing you need really is to up sticks, move that to another platform just to save you, as you
13
say,
quid.
a not a vast amount.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
different if you're on a great big one that costs you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. It's not doing anything for you.
yeah,
I get that. I did earlier this year. One of the mistakes I'd made was trying to run an affiliate program too soon and paying the extra money to pay Podia to run affiliate, and I never made
yeah,
anything back. So I just
yeah.
I just switched the plan. It was too dear. It wasn't for where I am right now. And I think there's also it's that balance of jumping too quick and
Hmm.
waiting too long,
Yeah, yeah.
and we sit in a messy place with that, don't we? And there's no rules. There's lots
No.
of advice, so it's like what's going to work best for me, and with knowing what I know about me, my business, and how I want to run it, and the flex and things I want to have as well. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's absolutely true, and I think you've shared so many good pieces of advice with everyone today. I'm also conscious that I know you said we've got to you're literally running from this to another meeting, so so I think what if we do now is probably move into the bit like I say to all my guests that I ask them two questions for you to share some advice. One, first off, is a piece of advice about digital marketing that everyone should go away and do because it really helps them. So,
yeah. For me, that is get to grips with LinkedIn. Like even if you think, oh, my customer isn't on there, they are. You might not be able to find them because it doesn't have the search functionality that you need. If it's not your customer, Rob, it will 100% be your referral partner, someone who can tell your customer about you, a stockist, a supplier, a collaborator, a partner, a friend, a supporter. They are on there. We
yeah,
know that. So let's not use that as an excuse, and let's just try and use the platform. You don't have to do a specific, people think I need to write differently for LinkedIn. You don't. I cut and chop. I write for LinkedIn first, then I cut and chop ready for Instagram and Facebook and stick a picture up, which I find incredibly difficult because I'm sitting in my wee cupboard doing confidential stuff, and I don't have any great gallery of pictures. But yeah, get to grips with LinkedIn because your people are on there. You just maybe haven't found them yet.
brilliant. I completely agree with you on that. I think LinkedIn's a brilliant platform. And yeah, I love it. So, yeah, that's brilliant. And if there's one piece of advice for people to say, just don't do this, it doesn't work. What would the bad thing to do? What would your advice there?
It would be to faff about too much with a website and do all that and waiting X amount of months. I've seen people waiting years and they kind of, oh, I can't do anything because I haven't got a website. And it's the business people's equivalent of, I haven't got my CV ready. it's actually a total procrastination safety mechanism. Like if I can hide behind this, I don't have to step out. It's your website's one of your tools. It's not your only one. All you actually need to sell is a link to buy the thing and someone to buy it. Yes, it's absolutely great to have one in time, but don't let not having a website stop you from selling and making money and meeting customers and growing an audience, because it's usually not where your customers are coming from anyway. Sorry, web developers and SEO.
And you know, I love that. And I love the comparison to in your business about people that kind of go, I can't apply for jobs because I haven't got a CV, you know.
Yeah.
So, which the procrastination, I'm guessing that's something you, as a coach, you come across that quite a lot then.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of faffing about behind. I need to fix my CV before I come to you to get my CV done. And I'm like, no, you don't, because I'm just going to change it anyway. And I say that nicely, but genuinely, what's important to you isn't important to the reader because we don't know who they are yet. So get me down my basic dates, times, duties, some achievements, and then let's go from there. But do not think you have to have some perfect finished. It's like perfect finished website slash CV. It doesn't exist because we're going to change it depending on the reader and depending on lots of different things anyway. So just get out from behind the scariness and just get out into the world.
Brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. I completely agree with you there as well. Now I'm going to share all the links and the contact details that you've shared with me in the show notes. But if somebody's just listening or watching and wants to know quickly what's the best way to get hold of you, what's the best place for them to find you, and how will they find you?
Best place is LinkedIn, and I am Laurie Macpherson, Macpherson. I'm also Facebook and Instagram, and I do have my website under the same name as well.
That's brilliant. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for being a guest on this episode. Really, really enjoyed chatting with you. I love all the things that you've shared. I think there's so much good information that you've shared there.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's lovely to be on.
Brilliant. Thank you. It's a pleasure.